Welcome to step 3 of mixing with Charles. If you have a rough mix of your song, let's go ahead and export that. It could help me get a ballpark idea of where you were going with the song. If you don't have it, no problem. But if you do, let's go ahead and export that now. Using Studio One, I will quickly demonstrate how to export your rough mix. I select an event that spans the entire length of my song. I open my markers view, hold down Alt or Option, and press Y. This places the start and end markers at the beginning and ending of the song. Then go to the File menu, select Song, Export Mix Down. Name this the name of the song, and add rough mix at the end of it. Make sure the format is WAV. Set your resolution and sample rate to the sample rate and resolution that you use to record it. You can see here that this one was recorded at 48 kilohertz. I have selected between song start and end markers as my export range. Before I export, I want to make sure that my location is in the right place. Save your rough mix in the root of the song. Right here. Now export. All right, next, let's prepare any MIDI tracks that you might have. We need to bounce them or turn them into audio. Go to your MIDI track, see your MIDI data there. Go to the track itself, not the event, but the track. Right-click and choose Transform to Audio. Auto tail, remove instrument, preserve instrument track. Go ahead and hit OK. And your MIDI has now turned to audio. Of course, this is Studio One. Your DAW may do this a little differently, but just go figure out how to do it. Basically, we just need to turn your MIDI into audio to prepare it for sending to me. Now let's prepare our audio tracks. Let's start off by consolidating all of our edits. Crossfade any edits, our punch-in, splits, overlaps. Let's take a look at that quickly. Right now in Studio One, I have an area here. Let's say this is a punch-in. There's no crossfade there. It could pop or click. You simply just want to crossfade those like this. Now you have a crossfade. If you need to adjust exactly where that happens, you can handle that. Just make sure it sounds smooth, whatever edits you've done. Over here we have an overlap. There's two different ways to handle this. You could simply crossfade that in the same way, or you could just get rid of the overlap like this and then crossfade. Get a smaller crossfade there like that. You can zoom in and see. Maybe adjust it. All right, so make sure all of that is done. Once that's done, you can go ahead and bounce these down. I'm going to go ahead and bounce those now. There they go. Now they're consolidated. All of my edits are consolidated, and that's what we want. Now let's go ahead and render any vocal tuning if you have it. Melodyne or auto-tune, anything like that. So we'll go ahead and let's say that here's some vocals here. We'll go ahead and edit with Melodyne. Let's say that we've melodyned this. This is a black metal vocal, so it didn't actually come out melodic. It's looking percussive at the moment, but whatever. Melodic, it's all good. We have Melodyne there. You can see some of the edits there. Now I'll open up my inspector and I can click around. You'll see if I click here, there's no event effect. If I click on this one that has the Melodyne on it, there it is. I can even open this up and I can see the Melodyne is there. I'll just simply render this. You'll see it render real quick. All the Melodyne edits are rendered into the file now. And just like before, I'll select my entire track and I'll bounce it. That consolidates all my edits in there. Okay, let's move on to zeroing out all the mixing moves. Some DAWs have a way to bypass all mixing moves in the export settings or in some other way. For example, Cakewalk by BandLab has export settings that allow you to do this before the final export. Studio One has a different way of doing the same thing, but it is not located in the export settings area. If you know that your DAW does this and you know how to do it, by all means, save yourself some time and do that. If you're not sure, no problem. Just follow these steps to manually do it. Of course, I'm still in Studio One here, and here's our example project or song. I'll go ahead and bring up my mixer view. Let me make this bigger. I'll just maximize it out here so we have everything. All right, so here's all my tracks. Let's start by zeroing out all the faders. So I'm just going to make all the faders at 0. I'm zeroing out all the faders. I'm using my fader port here to make this easier. Of course, if you wanted to use the mouse, I suppose you could hold down Control and do it like this. You can see here the tom track is panned a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and center the pan. All right. Centering all the panning. So all faders at 0, all pans at center. I'll just do the ones that we have visible here. I'm just going to disable all the plugins. So what we want to get is no plugins on. Of course, I missed some here, but I'm just demonstrating quickly. There's only one more. I'll take care of it. There we go. Yeah, while I'm here, I'll go ahead and zero out all these. Okay. So everything in the project, 0 on the fader, center on the pan, no plugins. This will give me the raw tracks that I need. Now with all of our faders at 0, all of our pans in the center, all of our plugins disabled, let's go ahead and export this. All faders are at 0. All pans are at center. All plugins are disabled. Open my browser. I go to the location of the file structure that we created. I'm in the first song here. We're going to go by category. We're going to start with the drums. I'm going to use my selection tool and I'm going to select the drums. I'm going all the way to 0. Even if my file doesn't start till measure 20 or whatever it might be, doesn't matter. Always go to 0 so everything lines up. Go back to my regular tool. I'm going to drag these files over. Now, before I let go, you'll see that it says export to drums wave file, and it's got the little tick there. That is telling me that all my files are completely raw and bypassing all the mixing moves. If I click on Alt or Option, you'll see the little tick comes down here. It says wave file with rendered insert effects. These are going to include my mixing moves. I do not want to do that. This is how Studio One handles that. We talked earlier about Cakewalk with BandLab. There in the export settings, you can get the raw files. In Studio One, you do it like this. I'm going to hit Alt or Option again because I want the raw files. I'm going to go ahead and let these go. And it's rendering, it's exporting these raw tracks just as they are right into this folder. All right. Let's do the same thing with the bass. Go to my selection tool here. I'm going to grab everything all the way to 0. Now I'm going to drag those into the bass folder. Let's go ahead and get the bass folder. There it is. Same thing. Export wave file. I'm going to let go. And there it is. Exporting my bass tracks. All right. I think you get the point, but let's just do one more. Let's come down here. You see some tracks that, are just, you don't even have them going over here. And of course, we have our synth track there, the little example we made. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and select that all the way to 0. There it is. Of course, since there's nothing after it, I can end it here, no problem. But this is going to go into my synths folder. I'm going to drag this into the synths. And you'll see it go in there. There it is. Of course, we have our vocal track. Here's some guitar tracks. This is how this would look. We'll just grab it like this. And we'll put them into guitars. Now let's go to step 4 for our final part to this series.